Hello, RAP students. This is Dr. Smith here. Today I'm going to talk about Earth, about the solar system. So we're going to actually do a quick review of the solar system, and we're going to do some practice questions because that's what we're doing right now, so you can be ready for any testing that you may have at the end of the year. And even if there's not any mandatory testing, I'm not sure what your school is doing, what your teacher is wanting you to do, you always need to practice answering questions because at some point in time, you're going to need to be able to do it, okay? So let's get started with the solar system. The first thing we're going to talk about is the sun. So the sun is what gives us here on Earth light. It gives us light and warmth. And we actually call the light that we get sunlight. So during the day, we have sunlight. Now, the moon actually gives us the light at night, so at night it's moonlight. Now, the solar system is actually made up of, if you see here, a star along with its members of planets and satellites actually work together. So we said a star. A star is a heavenly body made up of hot burning gases. And actually the sun is a huge star. Okay? So down here, I'm going to start this solar system. So here's our sun. Now, this star, to make our solar system, has planets and satellites that actually revolve around the sun. And so, planets are pretty much heavenly bodies that rotate or move around the sun. As you can see here, that's the definition, around the sun in a fixed position. That means it always goes in this path, just like this. And that path is called an orbit. Now, we have 8 planets. And so for each planet, you're going to have an orbit, just like this. Now, so I'll draw some planets here. We'll talk about the order of the planets in just a moment. I'm only drawing 3 just because of the space that I have here. So, how we're going to figure out which planets go in which orbit, we're going to use what's called an acronym. It's something that's easy to remember, and each word actually represents a planet. And so the one that I have here is my very excited mother just served us nachos. And so the order of the planets going from the closest to the sun to the farthest from the sun is, the first one is Mercury. The second one, is Venus. The third one, excited, that's us, Earth. For mother, now because we have 2 M's, you have to at least remember that Mercury comes first. And the second M is Mars. And the next one, just Jupiter. Served is Saturn. Us, Uranus. And number 8, nachos, is Neptune. Now, for people like me, we learned that there are 9 planets, and the last one was Pluto. But around 2006, they decided that Pluto was just too small, and so it was not really going to be considered one of the planets. That was something that I was just shocked to learn, especially when my son was going through school. So hopefully you didn't have to unlearn a 9th planet. If your parent told you there were 9 planets, just remember they're older than you. So that's why they probably think there are 9 planets, but there's only 8, okay? So let's talk about satellites. Satellites are small heavenly bodies that orbit around planets. They can be natural or they can be artificial. And when we have artificial ones, it's because our, NASA, more than likely, or it should be, NASA sends out astronauts on rockets into space so that they can put satellites out, and that's so we can gather information or communicate in some kind of way. So that's how the artificial satellites play into this. So when we're talking about solar system, you need to make sure that you can give the order of the planets. These planets do have specific characteristics, things that you should remember about each and every one, but because this is a review, I'm not going to go through all of that. So you'll have to definitely look that up on your own. But just remember, this is how the solar system works, okay? And now we can get into some of the practice questions so you can have some experience looking at these questions, okay? Okay, let's do our practice problems. If you would like to try these on your own first, feel free to pause the screen now. And now let's do it together. Question 1, the sun is. That's a pretty simple question. We understand what they're asking us just to tell them the definition. Is the sun a planet? It's not. Is the sun a star? Right now that seems to be the best answer, but of course we're going to read all of the answer choices. Is the sun a comet? It's not a comet. That's a heavenly body that it's not. Is it an asteroid? It's not. So our answer is going to be star. That was a pretty simple one. Make sure that you read through the really simple questions and all of the answers just to make sure that you don't give it away. You want to make sure that you get that point. The next one, number 2. Which planet is closest to the sun? Okay, now you need to remember the acronym. I hope you can remember it. Let's go. Mercury. So what's the first word in the acronym? My. Okay, that could be it. That could be it. B is Saturn. Saturn doesn't start with the M, so we know it's not that one. Jupiter, that was not at the beginning. It doesn't start with an M. And Mars, okay? Mars starts with an M. So like I said, you have to remember the order of the M's. And the first M was Mercury. So we know it's not Mars. And Mercury is going to be our answer, okay? So make sure you know that acronym. That'll be helpful. Number 3, why is Mercury very dry and hot? So you can go ahead and start with the answers, or if you want to just think about it for a minute and remember where Mercury is exactly in the order of the planets, you can do that. So we have to figure out why it's dry and hot. I have an idea already. Let's get started. A, it is the largest planet. Being the largest planet, does that make it hot and dry? Usually it doesn't. That has nothing to do with it. It has a hot, molten center. And you might say, what's molten? That's like when you have a hot liquid in the middle. Even though we didn't do the details, I don't think that would be it. But if you feel that it might be, just hold on to it. You don't have to mark it out. C, it is the smallest planet. I don't think that has anything to do with how hot and dry it is. So let's mark it out. Is it the closest planet to the sun? Is that even true? Is it the closest planet? It starts with an M, and we just answered up here that it is the closest. So more than likely, that's the reason why it would be hot and dry, okay? Because it's close to the sun. Number 4, which of these planets is the farthest from the sun? Now you got to recall your acronym. Take a second. What's the acronym? So we know it's not Mercury because that's what was closest. So we're going to go ahead and mark Mercury out. Was it Venus? Was V the last word? What was the last word? I think the last word was nachos. So it can't be Venus, and it can't be Saturn. So it has to be Neptune. So I hope you were able to use that acronym to help you answer those questions. And now we'll go on to the rest of the questions. All right, our last questions for the solar system. If you would like to try these by yourself before we start, go ahead and pause your screen now. And let's do them together. Number 5, why does the sun seem very big? I'm going to underline this. And bright, while other stars look like pinpoints of light. Now, in my review, I didn't talk about this, and you may know the answer. Or if you have no idea, this is a good time to really talk about this. Sometimes you'll have questions that you have no clue what the answer is. You just have to use your reasoning to come up with the right answer. So we're going to do that now. We're going to read through these answers and just use our reasoning to come up with the right answer. The first one is because the sun is made of plasma and is very powerful. Do you think that's the right answer? I'm going to say no, because can you recall anybody saying that the sun was made of plasma? Definitely not. So we're going to mark that off. B, because the sun is a lot closer to the earth. Could that be possible? Will that make the sun bigger and brighter? We can't rule it out, so we're going to keep it. C, because the other stars are a lot smaller. That's not wrong, but it's not really answering the question. So, we can't really mark it off because it's not wrong. So we'll just let it stay there. D, because the center of the sun is millions of degrees hot. I don't know if the sun is 1,000,000 degrees hot, but does that have anything to do with how big it is? It doesn't. So we're going to mark it off. That has nothing to do with how big it is, and possibly not even how bright it is, okay, compared to the stars. So we're going to mark that one off. Let's go back now that we've at least gotten half of the answers eliminated. We can go back to B and C. Now's the time that you have to say, what is the best answer? And I'm going to say that it's B, because C just says that the stars are small. It doesn't tell us why. And B gives us a good why for why the sun might be bigger and brighter than the stars that look really small. So I'm going to go with B. And I hope you decide to go with B too, because that's the answer. stars, some of the stars are bigger than the sun, but because the sun is closer to the earth, we see the sun as being bigger than some of those stars, okay? Number 6, which planet is known for its rings? We didn't talk about that, but maybe you remember that from school. If you do, go ahead and read through and figure out which one it is. If you have no clue whatsoever, I do apologize, even though it's not really my fault. This is one of those questions you just have to know the facts. And the fact is that Saturn is the planet that's known to have rings. It has 9 rings. So we're going to go with Saturn. That's just a fact you need to know, okay? Number 7, what is a large ball-shaped body that revolves around the sun? So it has to revolve around the sun. Does an asteroid revolve around the sun? An asteroid does not have to revolve around the sun. It can revolve around a planet or anything. So I'm going to mark that one off for you. We're doing that one together. B, is it a meteor? A meteor is something like an asteroid. It does its own thing in a way. It doesn't have anything to do with the sun necessarily. A planet, does a planet revolve around the sun? It does. So we'll keep that one for now. It's not wrong, so we'll keep it. And D, a star. Does a star revolve around the sun? A star does not necessarily revolve around the sun, and the sun is a huge star anyway. So I think the best answer right now would be a planet, because what do planets do? They move around the sun in an orbit, okay? I hope you did well with that, and if there were a few that you didn't know the facts for, the good thing is you can do a more detailed review. If you need help finding the detailed reviews, definitely talk to your teachers, and maybe even your family here at RAP can help you find some things, okay? So I'm hoping that you got something out of this review and answer the questions. Now you have a better understanding of how you should go about answering questions, even ones you may not know the answers to. And as I always say, continue studying, and always remember it is important to exercise your mind as well as your body. And I'll see you soon.
Please be sure to like, subscribe and share this video. It helps us reach more people who could use our help.